The office of the Minister of Youth is still vacant, and interested candidates are lobbying and making a case for themselves on why they are the best candidates for the position. President Bola Tinubu had appointed Abubakar Momoh as the Minister of Youth, but he was redeployed to the Ministry of Niger Delta Development, and stakeholders from various regions are now intensifying efforts and rooting for their preferred candidates. The Ministry of Youth is responsible for the National Youth Policy as well as youth development programs and funding youth activities and participation. This vision, or the vision of the ministry, is to also empower the Nigerian youth to become more self-reliant and socially responsible. Joining us now in the studio is constitutional lawyer and social commentator Kabir Akingbolu. It's good to have you join us again on TVC Breakfast. But let's begin with your thoughts on how well the president has fared in terms of youth inclusion, because we were saying earlier on in the show that he spared some thought, in his previous engagement, in his national address as, during his inauguration, and when he collected his certificate of return, he spoke directly to them, acknowledging that he had heard them. He knew that many of them didn't vote for him, but he was ready to be a president of all. And now, in his 100 days so far, how would you rate him in terms of keeping to his promises?
Well, so far, I think if you want to rate him, because the question is a bit circumscribed, it's a close-ended question in the sense that only in respect to a particular subject. Now, when you look at it from the angle of use, I don't think he has done much, because I could remember watching him myself. The first thing he said was that, youths, I can hear you loud and clear. I understand your pain. I did this, and I do that. Now, if he has done that, one would have expected that the taking off step should have been from the youth angle, because you talk about education, those to pilot it should be the youth. You talk about entrepreneurship, it should be the youth. You talk about welfareism, it should be the youth. Fighting against corruption, it should be the youth. Have a very strong role to play in this. So one would have expected him to start from that angle. And if you look at the campaign council too, the constitution of the campaign council, there are some youths who are there. I know there's some, people like Dr. Felix and the rest of them. It's a popular person, not an unknown face. Do you understand? So when you look at this, you will have been expecting people like this in the government. Though there are some other areas that people are also expecting. Somebody like me will have expected, some other experience. And from the, Nigeria is divided into a lot of geopolitical zones. From the south, I know from the north, central, northwest, and the rest, people are making case for El-Rufai in another way. Some people are making case for Fashola in another way. These are experience, and also that people believe they can, some people have tipped, El-Rufai for power. Some people were expecting maybe Fashola will still be chief of staff, right, or whether minister for works. So these are the expectations of the people, but particularly the youth, the youth angle, people are expecting so much.
Well, when you said that the takeoff of the president didn't represent the youth as much, Minister of the Digital Economy, Bosun Tijani, is a youth. Better Edu,
welfare.
You understand, humanitarian affairs.
Hanatu too, who has
Hanatu Musawa.
Ministry of
these are youth. He made an appointment yesterday. The FRS acting, boss, who is also a youth himself. He became a commissioner at the age of 33, and he just became a doctor. You understand? So these are youth that are represented. Don't you feel that he has done, at least to some extent, representing the youth?
You see, there is a difference between this thing is our own and this thing is my own. When you say it's my own, you have control over it. If you are talking about youth in government, we are talking about Ministry of Youth. That is where the interests of the youth can be well protected. You understand? So if you don't have somebody like, I would have expected as a person, this Dr. Felix, who was the Deputy National Coordinator.
No, before we talk about the Ministry of Youth, which is in contention,
yes,
where people are racing for.
Yes.
She asked a question as regards how much has the president's appointments, represented? I mean, how much of representation have the youth, got
No,
in this
in
administration?
all fairness, without any fear of contradiction, the government, the president has done more than any other person in that regard. We have Betta Edo, Abi, the rest of them that
even the spokesperson during Gilali is one of the
Gilali. We have this lady from Musawa. He proposed Okotete before she was dropped. Those are evidence to show. Then this guy from Ondo State. I think to pilot the blue economy and later to
Interior.
To Interior. These are fantastic guys. He's just 21 years old. He was in House of Reps. Being in House of Reps, he has some experience already that you cannot just push him aside. You will understand that, this person is not new in political environment. So he has done so well in those areas. Do you understand? But what I'm saying is that there is a particular ministry of youth. That ministry was not created for fun. It's not there for decoration. There must be somebody to manage. Because, yes, they are in government. Some of them are like the one for humanitarian services. It's also a very young individual. And to a very large extent, if you want to rate the government or the president in his performance or in his commitment to the interests of the youth, I think we must give him a pass mark, a very good grade at that.
Right. We are all mindful of the agitation here and there. I don't know, this issue of who mans or who heads the youth ministry has generated a lot of, contentions. And, by the way, people have also said, give it to the president. This is also unprecedented, having a ministry solely devoted to youth development. Let's also address that, what you think would be the gains of, a ministry as youth development, youth engagement, and all that. What are you seeing?
Well, when you look at it from this, you must, first of all, before you can manage any ministry at all, especially, youth ministry now, one, the person, you cannot take, I don't want to mention a political party where you see a youth leader, he will be above 60. You understand? They will still call him a youth leader. Now, it must be youth for youth, and the ministry must be, must be overseen by a young person, not just a young person, somebody who is familiar or who will be familiar or who it will not be difficult for to, to take up responsibility in that regard so as to safeguard the interest of the youth themselves. So if he's not a young person, it will be very difficult before you can see any development in the ministry or before you can see the ministry progress in the direction that the youth themselves will want. So you are not going to look for somebody who doesn't know anything, who has not been in politics, one, because it takes a lot. The person might be a technocrat, but that kind of technocrat who has been a bit better close to government, whether he has done certain things in the past that can make him to be a scare peg in a scare hole or a round peg in a round hole, not the other way around. So it must not be an entirely new person. In the past, you see some people that will go abroad, they'll just go and bring somebody who does not even have a contact.
Right. So talking about all of this, the quality and all of that, who would you say the CAP really fits in this?
Yeah, you see, there are some youths around, but I can think of, I mentioned his name before. Why do I mention him? He was the deputy national youth director or whatever during the campaign of the president. You understand? Which means he has worked, one, closely with the presidency of the president himself. He was part of the presidential campaign council. He was representing the youth there. Then it would be a kind of, it is not preposterous for you now to outside somebody who has been working for the interest of the youth during the campaign, the build-up to the election, for you to now go out and bring an entirely new person to man the ministry it will not be so congenial.
Is it about someone who you have not even mentioned the name of the person?
We've been speaking in the past couple of minutes with social commentator and a lawyer, Kabir Akingbolu, about the vacant youth ministerial slot. Of course, the battle is heating up. Many names have been dropped as to who the CAP fits, and Kabir Akingbolu is here to speak on that. Amidst the contentions, let's have you build up on your earlier point about, why this role is critical and why it is also critical that a competent individual, gets this job.
Yeah, I have seen some names being bandied about, you understand, but I try to look and filter through what the little I know about them. If you compare and contrast, you will find out that in every contest, there must be somebody who is above. There must be somebody who is in the intermediate this thing, although the president has the discretion to still pick whoever he wants to pick. But personally speaking, I don't know any of them. I have never been a politician, and I don't think I can ever be. I'm just a lawyer, Now, but speaking for myself, I would think that this Dr. Nicholas Felix, because if you look at the number of people or the caliber of people that are jostling for this position, he still got an edge. He's ahead of them. Far. One, do you talk of international exposure? Do you talk of academic qualification? Do you talk about entrepreneurial skill, leadership, abilities, his inclusion in government, and the fact that he was the youngest ever to have ever contested or to ever aspire, rather, to be a president under the edges of PDP. In fact, I think even in Nigeria, I don't think we have seen somebody who was younger, who has been younger than him to say, oh, I want to be the president. And this in itself has a way of showing that, oh, this person probably knows what he's doing, or if we trust this person with this, then it can be. And in politics also, politics is about compensation. Let's be practical. You understand? Most of the people that will be in government, only about 5 to 10% will be those who have never been in politics at all. Only about. They'll bring technocrats.
Sorry to butt in. Do you not feel that that's a statement that a lot of people will contest? Saying that politics is about compensation.
Not compensation
in terms
of money.
Compensation or governance.
Not compensation about money. When I take compensation now, it's been included. Inclusion. You talk about policy of inclusion, not in terms of monetary aspect. You understand? There are some ministers who come and they will let
you. Even when I ask the question, I'm not even thinking in monetary terms.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about, competency.
Like,
because you've helped me, then I'll compensate you by giving you a role.
Not that. Let me tell you, there are a lot of professions in the world. Some people choose to be doctors. You understand? So if somebody has chosen to play the game of politics and say, I'm a politician, and you are contributing to political activities and so on and so forth, you understand? Because normally people miss it. Why you join politics is not to get money, but to serve the people. So now, if your dream is to serve the people and you are given the opportunity to serve, that is the compensation for not the money. You understand? Now, it will be better to give people who know their onions, who are what they tend to be, the opportunity to do that, because most of the time, the problem we have in Nigeria, but now I think we are getting it right, most of the people who have ruled us, they are those who are not ready. They are not prepared for the job. Somebody will just pick them and say, come and be this, come and be that, whether local government chairman, whether president and all that. But President Tinubu, you can see, has been aspiring. Buhari also has been aspiring. The rest of them, before them, they were not ready. They were accidental public servants. You understand? Right. But in this circumstance, what I'm trying to say is this. Somebody who contested, if you look at it, if somebody has contested, it's not the case that if you have contested or you are interested in politics and you are not qualified, right, or you are not competent, you should be given a post. But where you have 10 people or 20 people jostling for positions, and you have 3 people who are ready, who are participating in political activities, who are competent, and you now have people who have not even shown any interest at all, and they are not also qualified. It will be unreasonable for you to pick those who are not qualified at all against somebody who is qualified and competent. Remember, the president said, I am going to run a government of national competence and not government of national unity, like they usually say. We must expect that.
And, so you are rooting for Felix Nicholas Felix, whom I believe you know personally, and in building up his credentials or in selling his credentials to Nigerians,
You've also spoken about him working closely in the Presidential Council. But I also want to take you up on the word you used, which is compensation, and you feel that it fits Mr. Felix the most. But in terms of adding value, because you said it is a matter of reality, it's a matter of fact. So in terms of, adding value, so to speak, what stands him out? Because he will not be the only one who worked closely with the president during the hectic campaign days. But, what did he do? What cogent things would you say he did that added to the election victory of Bola Tinubu?
Yeah, when I was saying, I don't, this particular fellow, I've only, as a conscious Nigerian or as a conscious person, you must be interested in what goes on around you. You understand? The ministries that, like myself, I'm so much interested in who becomes the Minister of Petroleum. I have been looking around for the CV of those who are trying to be, or people are still thinking whether the president will keep it to himself. Some people are still saying, oh, maybe El-Rufai will be, or maybe Fashola will be, or something. So in the Ministry of Youth also, I was also looking around. I've looked at the CV of this because we are actually, maybe I'm still part of them, I think. So one must be interested in this. So now looking at the CVs of this young guy compared with some of those people, I don't think he's not the best. You understand? Because during the campaign, he was the one that he worked to coordinate the youths, to pass the message of the committee to the youth. He was there, at the forefront. So, and with his experience in saying, I want to be the president myself. You understand? And now found himself in the youth council of the presidential campaign committee or council. And he has played the role very well and commendably too. So I think it can be that. And again, in the area of, when I read something about some of the things I read about him, I knew that in the last 10 to 12 years, he has employed over 3,000 youths. So most of these people that are saying, oh, I'm competent, what have you done in this regard? We must also ask them. He has some managerial certificates, some from Harvard and all that, BS. He has, I think, a bachelor in Bible and biblical study and all that, the doctor in divinity, PhD honoris causa and all that, all these things. And most of them have something to do with humanity or development or leadership skills.
It's
so
interesting how much you spoke glorifyingly about the person of Felix Nicholas Felix. But then, according to United Nations definition of youth, talking about the age, apart from the qualifications and all of that, they categorized it between 15 and 24. And in Nigeria, we see it as from the age of 18 to 29 is the age of youth. There is a book on Amazon, Victor Hugo says that 40 is the old age of youth, 50 is the youth of old age.
In fact, some people call it middle age.
Middle age. So the person we are talking about, I think he was 40
He's 42.
years.
Right.
42 now.
Yeah.
So has it not gone past that age of youth?
Now, you see, in Nigeria, that's why I say I'm a practical person. Let me tell you, it will be difficult in Nigeria for you to appoint somebody of less than, in fact, if not recently that our constitution was amended, to be a House of Assembly member, you are to be 35 years of age. You are to be a local government chairman, you have to be 35 years of age. They have now reduced it to 25. So if your definition of this thing does not fit into the constitution of our youth, because from 25, you'll be surprised, most 25 guys will still be bachelor. And in Nigeria, the way we perceive it, we don't believe a bachelor can even be a good leader most times.
We don't believe.
We don't believe most of us. It's not mean it's right. You understand? I know somebody, I think this Sule in Kano, I think it was an essay to the president at the age of 23. People like Ojukwu and the rest of them, Babangida and the rest of them, they led Nigeria at 23, 24, 25. Buhari was the eldest then, he was 29, when some of them became governors. You understand? Even Gowon, some historical books say he was 29 when he became head of state. Some say 30, some say 31. But it was not more than 31 when he became head of state. But it cannot happen in Nigeria today because of the way things are. Even some of the 22, 23, they are still searching for admission. And don't forget, in some establishments, especially banks, we are not trying to bring down anybody here. They will not, if you're up to 26, you don't stand any chance of getting employment in any bank. They will tell you no more than 24 years.
All right.
it is not fair.
All right.
So somebody like the man,
Mr. Kabir, you will get to that point, but I just wanted to know, so what is Nicholas Felix going to do to correct that trend? Because we've just established that it is a reality.
Yeah.
But, it is what many will call a negative reality.
Yes.
People have spoken about how the age is, by the time an average youth finishes school, is even too old,
It's too old.
for some jobs. So, and you spoke again about how he had employed thousands before now, and many youth will be wondering just what he wants to do about employment opportunities being more adequate, and also the issue of employability, building up on the points that you have just enumerated.
Somebody who was a private individual, you understand, who personally, through his companies or some of his establishments, who has, been able to employ about 3,000 people. And now he's in government. What do you think he will do? Because the facilities of the states are there for him to be, dispelled. To say, okay, we want to engage the youth for, useful purposes. We want to disabuse their mind. You understand? When you have because in Nigeria, the reality is that youth, for me, if you ask me to define, is from 30 to 50. In fact, some people will tell you up to 55. Yes, because let me tell you, my sister, how many people, we see some exceptions, how many people from the age of 30 and 40 can you pick? Some of them are still on the street, even searching for OND. Some are still doing part-time in university. Some of them are doing many jobs in... so people who have had, international exposure like Mr. Nicholas will be able to say, oh, it is not too late, or this is what you can do. This is how we do it outside there. He has the local intelligence, the international intelligence. His exposure can even foster, bilateral relationship between Nigeria and other countries. His exposure internationally can also, give Nigeria a kind of image laundry that, oh, we can have youth like this who think this way. So these are the things that we're talking about, because there will be people, a lot of them are qualified. But we are thinking of those who have versatility, who have dual, competence in terms of engineering, in terms of exposure, in terms of technology, in terms of experience, in terms of, connecting with the people. By somebody who has employed over 3,000 people means he has interest he is connected with the people. If given the opportunity, he can utilize it better. As a person, 3,000. In government, it can create up to 100,000.
There is no disputing the fact of about some of the things that you've said about Nicholas Felix. International recognition and also. But then one thing I'm concerned about is how you think it can work on the psyche of the kind of youth that we have now. You've also enumerated some of them, and what we see on social media, I'm not sure whether it does really represent the Nigerian youth that we have, but what we can see as tangible is what we'll probably relate with. Yeah. Do you think it will be able to speak the mind of the youth? It will also speak to the violence that people exude on social media.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because you see, I have for once, I've been one of the advocates that we must regulate our social media. A lot of fake news here and there. So, but is somebody that is not coming for the first time? What do I mean? Somebody who has taken a role in a capacity as a youth mobilizer, national, deputy national youth leader, for the campaign council. If he has not performed well, you will have also seen the negative comment coming, like we have on the social media, about him that, oh, he cannot do, or he has failed and all that. Now, those people that are, saying they are qualified, have they, shouldered this kind of responsibility? You understand? This man also have, an organization, an NGO, where he also mentors some youth, you understand, in terms of leadership skills, not just in vacuum. You understand? So these are the things. Somebody who has done something relating to this. It's just like you have a corruption fighting agency, and you have brought somebody who is a lawyer, who is a medical doctor, who has nothing to do with that field. So this is my feelings. These are my feelings.
Constitutional lawyer, social commentator Kabir Akingbolu, thanks a lot for speaking with us on TVC Breakfast.
Thank you for having me on the program.
Thanks for your contributions.
Yeah.